Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. First, let me give shouts out to Malika Mebani and S. Jock for coming through on Cash App. I mean that from the bottom of my black heart, from the depths of my black mind. Also, allow me to give credit to S. Jock for the links that he sent. Now, I've been very busy with family lately. And I still am busy. I traveled up north to see my daughters. I tried to get back into my hometown in time for a type of party that somebody threw for my son, and my flight was delayed. Now, I didn't know that actually this was being thrown in my honor. But I never made it because my flight was delayed. And I felt so bad about this when I found out that they actually were throwing this for me. And I never could make it because my flight was delayed. So I've been very, 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 very busy. Very busy. And now in my age, I have to look after my health in ways that I did not have to 2 years ago. But I have not forgotten you all, and I've not forgotten the links that S. Jock has sent. I just have, the thing is that, unfortunately, time costs money. And since my main income is due to my own work, I have limited time, and therefore, the only way to get more time is for me to just be more irresponsible with money, and I'm not about to be irresponsible with what I got. So I'm doing the best I can, and I realize though this, having been in the United States for a while, and I'm not working here, I'm visiting, I realize the pressure that you all are under. I knew y'all were under pressure, but there were some details of it I forgot. And now I see more details of this pressure you're under. There are details I've forgotten, I'm now remembering, and then there are things I've learned that are new to you. But you're in a pressure cooker. And if you're a man, you're in a pressure cooker because the responsibility's on you, and you're not seen as a hero for your efforts. You're seen as a failure until you succeed. And you're only seen as succeeding when you are immune to the pressures because you just happen to make that much money and have that many resources, and then still somehow have the time you need to take care of things in life. And since no man can take care of everything, no human being can, you men are just seen as failures. Some of you just lesser failures than others. Ladies are seen as heroes because of the effort. From trying, they're seen as heroes. If they make the effort, they're seen as heroes, and they can put themselves into situations that are impossible and then still be seen as heroes because of their efforts to stay afloat. A single mom is a prime example of that. I'm a single mom. Yeah, most of the time they're single moms because of choices they made, but because of their efforts. And the ones that are single moms, not due to any choices they made, now don't get the credit that they earn because of the ones who are single moms because of choices they've made. These are just examples that we all know of. I'm telling you guys, the pressure is going to be harder on you until it becomes equally as hard on women because the pressure's not going to soften. The pressure's not going to turn around and shift and then now be placed on the women's shoulders and not on your shoulders. The pressure's just going to be placed on both you and the women's shoulders. As many people are looking at women's suffering and saying, well, you had options. Well, you had a choice. Well, you've had decisions that you could have made that would have placed you in a better position. You had an option. You had an opportunity to not go through all of the suffering through which you're now going. You had these chances. What the hell happened? People are then going to start putting this pressure on women. They're not going to take it off. They're going to put the pressure on women. They're not going to take it off of you men. So I don't want you to think that as people become more aware, don't think that as they become more aware that they're going to start taking pressure off of you. People aren't going to do that. Men who are more aware may stop pressuring you unrealistically. Maybe. But men that are not aware and women will be unaware. And they will stay applying pressure to you like you did something. They will stay applying pressure to you as if you deserve it. They're going to stay saying to you that it is not good when men complain, and they are probably right. If all a man does is complain, then they're absolutely correct. But they're going to take even just your making other people aware of it as a complaint. If you just tell someone else what it is you're complaining, that's not stopping anytime soon, because there's simply inbuilt well, I wouldn't say no, but there's simply built in less sympathy for men, even on the part of other men. However, women are running at a negative sympathy for men. The white one, the black one, they're just running at a negative sympathy. But that's the pressure that you're under. It's going to seem, the sensation of seeing this pressure become equalized across the genders may feel to some of you like the pressure's off of you, but don't make that mistake for a second of thinking that it's going to be taken off of you. What will be taken off of you is this. You will have things you can do that women cannot do to alleviate it. You can live a minimalist lifestyle that women can't. You can learn to live a minimalist lifestyle in the United States to prepare yourself to save money when you go abroad, so that you'll be able to actually live better in the long term. That's not something they'll be able to do. You also, you're going to have to learn this about when you're going to have to learn this about women abroad. And this is something I can see from within the States better than I could see when I was in working in Saudi. And I'm going to be back there working in a little bit. But something I can see within the United States is this. Latin America is the West, but it is the backyard of the West. And it is not the fault of the regular run-of-the-mill people, the conditions they face in Latin America. That is not the case. But by the same token, people get away with a lot. In these lands, people tend to get away with plenty. And so I'm going to tell you now, if you are looking to settle with a good wife, and even if you're looking to settle with a girlfriend, which I don't recommend without some sort of marriage, at least according to your faith tradition, but even if you're looking to just settle with a girlfriend, you're going to have to understand that the Western Hemisphere is damn near off limits at this point. It's probably been that way for a while, but now from being here, I can see it. Those chicks that are scoping dudes and Colombia and in the Dominican Republic are proud of that. They feel pride in their ability to scope guys and rob them. That's a joke to them. It is the same pride with which Shira 7 sits up there with her stuffed face on camera and tells women to lie about their age and lie to these men and use them for money. So it's the same thing. When you come across a situation in which women don't have any shame about taking an unfair advantage of men they would not allow men to take of them, or would teach their daughters to not let men take of them, then you're already dealing with a broken culture. That's the end of that. And class does oftentimes dictate culture. So you may even be in the Philippines and somebody who's just really down and out might take pride in their ability to use a Western man for his dough. So one of the reasons why I sound so cynical about a lot of things is because, as I told you, when I hear bad news, sometimes I hear bad news and then it becomes true later on. Other times I hear bad news and then I see the proof that it is true later on. Sometimes it's a combination of the two. I hear bad news, but it's not common, and then it becomes more common later on, and then I can see the proof of it. That is the most likely scenario. But the point is that when I hear about something bad, later it's proven. The rumors about a slave trade in Libya were rumors before they were a reality. But it became a reality. Just as an example. The rumors about the non-Western women that were out on the prowl and out on the hunt to use men with access to a stronger currency than their own, well, that turns out to be the case. Now, a lot of relationships are transactional. Even when there is love and genuine interest involved, it is still a give and take. But what I'm telling you is that wherever you are, whether it is in a really poor section of the Philippines, or if it is in Latin America, or if it is in the United States, or it is in Canada, when the women can brag to someone else amongst them about how they take advantage of men that did not do anything to earn this, not taking advantage of bad men that are scammers themselves, but can take advantage of normal, regular men, when they start bragging about this, then you know that culture is lost. And I want y'all to keep that in mind. And that pressure that you are feeling now in the States, because everyone's feeling it due to the economy and finances, it is going to shift. It's going to now be applied to the ladies. They're already feeling it. It's not necessarily going to be taken off of you. You'll just have some solutions that the ladies won't have or that they cannot enact. That's what will happen. But you must also understand why it is that the culture is lost and look to avoid these same things when you go elsewhere. You must do that. And you cannot live an unchaste lifestyle and think that there's no harm that's on its way to you for that. If you live an unchaste lifestyle, if you think I'm just going to go to some place where they got, it's open and legal to just pay for play, and that's all I'm going to do not get to thinking that living that way is going to be free of consequences. It's not, because even if you go somewhere where the tricks are not being targeted for robbery or violence of any sort, even if you go somewhere like that, you're going to be exposed to diseases. That's what's going to wind up. That's the bare minimum. The bare minimum are going to be the risk to your health. That's the bare minimum. When you're lucky, most places you won't be that lucky. You do that, you get set up. You do it enough times, the women that work that stuff start to figure out your patterns, and they start trying to get stuff out you. Stuff that you're not negotiating. They start trying to extort you. They might even start working in league with a local cop and start saying, we're going to shake them down. Together, we're going to shake them down. I'll get more than what I was getting, and you'll get some extra. Mr. Officer, you're going to be targeted. And I've come to understand that living in the States for you, and I'm sure other countries too, you're simply many of us are going to have to come to peace with the fact that you're going to have to live by yourselves and you are the end of your bloodline. Now, I have to come to grips with this myself. Even though I'm already a father, I have to come to grips with the possibility that not one of my offspring is going to have their own offspring. I got to come to grips with that. And it ain't their fault. Especially if my son doesn't. It's not going to be his fault. Because he didn't make a single decision consciously that would have ruined that chance for him. Now, not knowing, yeah, he's probably made about 2. And that's no different from the best of us. But he did not make any conscious decision that was going to limit his opportunities to become a dad himself or become a husband. That's the thing about being a guy. You don't have to sit up and make decisions to limit these opportunities. All you got to do is live your life. The women will start looking for reasons to exclude you. And in the West, they do it as a unit. In the West, they don't even decide individually on men. They're deciding with a hive mind. Even when a woman is by herself, she's still judging you through the lens of her friends. She's not judging you based on her own opinions. If she likes you, she's still looking at what her friends would say, and she's doing it in a childish manner. If you like her, you might be aware of what your friends would say, but you're not judging based on that, and that's where men start to screw up. Until women in the West learn to judge men individually, stop judging them individually. Start looking at what options they got. And that's what a lot of red pill men are doing. Look at what options they have to make a determination as to whether or not you can even believe she's interested in you. Because if you can't see the evidence that she has options and she picked you, then you're well within your rights in the West to say, no, never mind. Even if I like you, what other guy does? And that's why you're looking at me. And I don't go that route. I don't care if I got a neck beard and live in mama's basement. Because if you had a glue-in lace front weave and lived in mama's basement, you would still feel entitled to the 1% of men that earn in terms of earnings. So, no, gentlemen, I'm gonna tell y'all straight, man. The pressure that you are under right now is not coming off of you. But you're keeping this pressure on the Westernicians, and I think that you should. You absolutely should keep it on them. You make sure that that pressure is maintained on them, not even just to be vengeful or spiteful or petty, not even because of that, but you should do so only for really so that you don't have them trying to do worse to you than what they're already trying to do. It's a deterrent value. That's really it. And how do you keep that pressure on them? You maintain standards, and if you're single, because you insist on them meeting standards in exchange for the standards they have for you to meet. And that's really all it takes. That's why I don't blame men when they're single their whole lives and don't go on one date their whole lives. I don't blame them right off the bat. All a man has to do is be a normal man and have normal standards for women to meet, comparable to the standards that women have for him. In other words, all he has to do is demand some give and take and fairness, and he will exclude just about every woman around. That's first thing. So that's why I don't blame these men, but by simply having these fair standards in exchange for the standards to which you're being held, you are going to keep the pressure on them by looking at the decisions they make when they're in their prime and not letting them make different decisions in their decline. You keep the pressure on them by not being willing to give handouts to them. You keep the pressure on them. You see a man on the side of the road, you feeling bad for dude, you can just be like, yeah, I'm gonna help him out with something. You see a lady on the side of the road, you be like, why are you on the side of the road? For what? I had to do this in Bali. I noticed in Bali that the only beggars, it wasn't no dudes, only beggars were women with these little kids sitting on the side of the road with their hands out, and I didn't hand nothing to them. I felt bad for the kids especially, but I didn't hand nothing to them. What happened to the dad? Ain't no spontaneous conception. How did this happen? Let a man walk around, even if the mom passed away and he's trying to find a way to take care of that baby and he's out there with his hand out, they look at him and say, no, get a job, look after that baby. That's what they would say. Okay, guess what? I'm saying the same thing to these ladies. Oh, you're polite, you're mannerable. That's how things go down in Bali anyway. You're not a mean, ratchet issue. You ain't rolling your neck, snapping your fingers. You ain't sitting up here with your kids looking starved while you 300 pounds wilding up to me. Hair, nails dead, breath stinking though, and child looked like he been neglected. You're not doing all of that, but guess what? The fact remains that you control access to the womb. How did someone get access to the womb in a situation where now you just out here by yourself? What happened? What's up with that? Where your friends at? So no, you got to be willing to really not go out of your way to harm them, but to merely sit back and not be willing to bail them out in exchange for nothing. And if you do, you don't let them know where it comes from. That's how you keep that pressure on them. And at the very least, and you focus on protecting what you got. And at the very least, the sense of entitlement that many of them and even many men have on their behalf is no longer justified and supported. No longer. That's how you keep the pressure on them, and you should. I hope this helps. As always, thank you for listening. To the commentator that asked about why it is that I pause a lot, it's not because I'm hitting a weed when I'm speaking. It's because of my lungs and sinuses, especially my sinuses. I'm doing what I can to treat them and they're getting a bit better here, but I'm in the Gulf Coast, and when I turn the AC on in this humidity, because you do have to, sometimes that AC still swells my sinuses shut. So I got to make more of an effort to fill my lungs up and then continue on with the next sentence. That's all. No, I'm not hitting the weed while I'm talking to y'all. Yet. I don't plan on smoking it ever, actually. But I hope this helps. Thank you all for listening. As always, Black Car, Black Mind, Blackout, Assalamu Alaikum, Black Heterosexual, Non-Select Male Power because I don't like it, Black Patriarch until extinction of Judgment Day. Thank you for flying with us here on Jet Black Air, where the phrase Jet Black is also a verb, and keep Jet Black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.